substances lists came into picture. Now, slowly, these RSFs, that is what we call as restricted substances list for individual brands, has become more and more popular. They have started naming the blacklisted products. Now, recently, an NGO, the Greenpeace movement, has started taking a bigger action in China. They have actually collected about 83 articles across the globe in the month of October last year. 83 articles across the globe. It's all apparel articles, 15 brands, and they have tested only for one chemical. Now that chemical has a potency of changing the hormonal systems. That means male fish started laying eggs. Now that was a chemical which they have tested for, and they found that 73 articles are above the limit. Okay. Only 2 articles from only one brand, I can name the brand, it was Gap. I cannot say that Gap is completely safe. Only fortunately the 2 garments which were taken from Spain, or no, from Sweden, were safe. So the thing is, it's not a very rosy picture. Now it requires lot of awareness. After this, the effort of Greenpeace, it started telling that textile industry is polluting. So they have to come out of few chemicals. They have named 9 chemicals and APU, that is totally 10 families of chemicals. They said that let all these brands come together and say that we stand together and say by 2020 we will come out of these 10 chemicals. 6 out of them have signed an agreement that they will come out by 2020 zero discharge, and by 2015 they will be coming out of these 10 chemicals. Okay, 6 brands out of these 15. Now this is one area where NGO is working on. There are other brands and there are other certifying bodies like GOTS, where people like Apurva and all those who are, there is someone to trust. Yeah. So GOTS is one way people will go and see and they trust. Now everyone else will say that what is safe to wear. What is safe to wear? They don't care whether it's like this, that I do 100 papas, go into Varanasi, dip in Ganga and say now I can start from day one. So we all worried about what we wear. We don't care about what we actually been going through. So it is about the processing, the entire processing cycle, and not only wearing a safe garment. So probably EU Flower is better standard, which talks about, or probably Okotex 1000, which talks about processing. So they will talk about these chemicals should not be used at all. It is not that you can use, let us say, APU, for that matter, the chemical which is changing the hormones, cannot be used. It is soluble in water, so if I wash it, it will be going. So on your garment, it will not be there anytime. But what happens to the water which will go into the sea? That's where the fish is laying eggs. So that is the point which we are talking about. So when you really come out and understand, it is not that what is safe to wear, it is about the best practices in production. So where it is very becoming tinsy and very difficult to, as I rightly agree with Apurva, not easy to actually maintain systems. That's where we say that go with products who are sold by the people who understand that properly. Unfortunately, there are about 300 different mills in India who are manufacturing dye stuffs. They don't know what are their impurities. 15 years before, people talk about purities. Today, it is about impurities. Now, impurities, what are those impurities, and analyzation of those impurities, standardization of those impurities is what is more important rather than just producing a pure product. Because no one talks about 99% pure. We don't want that. We want what is that 1% impurities. That is the system now. So go with the production people, products which are safe, who understands them, who can dictate, who can come closely teach people, who say that don't use this because this contains this. So very few those companies are remaining in India or in the globe today. One of ours, why we are talking about is because we know what we sell. So that's what our buzzword is. We know what we sell. Do you know what you are buying? That's what we are talking about. If we say, if there is a product which is not safe, we remove it from our shelf. We don't sell it.
So you said like, do we know what we are buying? And I would like to stay with this keyword, do we know what we are buying? So I understand it. I go to a mall, I buy a red t-shirt. Okay, this is organic cotton, I'm sure about it, but I buy a red t-shirt. The farmers who produce the cotton, they are poisoning themselves with pesticides. The cotton is coming into the warehouse, the poisonous pesticides are coming to the people who handle the cotton, they poison themselves. The fabric is made, the people are dyeing the fabric with chemicals which turn fishes into another gender. Yeah, it's the red t-shirt that we buy, which is very glitzy, and the models we see. And then the t-shirt has to be produced actually out of the fabric. And there we come to a point which are the social conditions actually. How are things then produced? Because it's unbelievable that so many chemicals are used and we just wear it, it's nice, but why do we take this into account? And there's a social responsibility as well. We know many problems, cheap labor, etc. And I would like to ask Anita Ahuja actually. I saw a talk about of yours, and you were talking about the dignity of labor actually. And I would like to know what you understand. What is dignity of labor for you from your perspective? And yeah.
I can talk from the Indian perspective. Like, we as Indians, we have a lot of respect for our traditional craft. We may not maybe buy so much, but we do respect our craft persons. But we have respect for tradition. But like, I'll give you an example. When we first developed the technique, I wanted the rag pickers to get you get an identity card in which it says that you're a craft person, and then you can go and participate in the local melas. If you do not have that identity card, you don't get you can't enter those melas. So since this is a craft, I went and met one of the bureaucrats to ask him, and he gave me a form. He showed me a form in which it was written, "Did your father know this craft?" Obviously my father wouldn't know this craft because plastic is a new thing, we have just developed it. And then there was questions like, how many know it in your family? Obviously there won't be other, it's only me who's doing it, and then even if we talk about rag pickers, we weren't doing it as a family. So I realized that it was very difficult to get a craft recognized. If you talk about craft, it has to have that tradition which we all respect and love. But there is no respect for contemporary craft. And I feel craft persons like the rag pickers, if they acquire a skill, they may be of any caste. Most of our rag pickers are scavengers, so they come from the lowest caste. And at least I've noticed in Delhi, there's a very disregard for the rag pickers. Even if they are trained and they know their craft very well, they are still treated like, they were always treated like they were supposed to just handle the waste of a society. Like, the upper three classes never really touch their waste. The waste in the Indian homes is left for the servant to handle. And if the servant is of a higher caste, he'll expect someone else to come and collect the waste and things. So I felt that after acquiring a beautiful art which is really respected around the world, they still did not have got that dignity. Like for us, they were sat on a chair. They are used to working on the floor, and it takes us about 1 year to get a rag picker who is used to working with the waste, heaps of waste on the floor to the chair. And once they sit on the chair, then they acquire so much confidence, they're never going to go back and sit on the floor again. They'll all want mudas or stools to sit on. So, but yes, our society has a lot of problems, which I feel also in a way is related to green fashion, because when we talk about green fashion, it's the new India we are talking about, where caste does not matter, where we are talking about issues like this. So I feel green fashion also means a basic change in our social system. So I'm sure this must be in every city. I speak more of Delhi because I'm from Delhi, but I'm sure in every city it is problems like this exist.